Picture this. A man, fierce and untamed, snatches away a woman destined to be another's wife. This is not a tale of fiction, but the real-life beginnings of Genghis Khan's parents. In the wild and unforgiving terrain of the Mongolian steppes, such audacious acts were not unheard of. The man in question is Yesugei, a tribal warrior who would become the father of Genghis Khan. The woman, Holan, was betrothed to another, yet fate had a different plan. Yesugei, with a daring spirit that would echo in his son, kidnapped Holan from her intended husband, shattering norms and setting the stage for a future that would change the course of history. In the stark world of the Mongolian tribes, such an act was not merely a personal defiance but a societal upheaval. Marriages were strategic alliances, a means to fortify bonds between tribes to ensure survival in an environment that was as harsh as the customs that governed it. By taking Holan, Yesugei was not just claiming a bride, he was disrupting an intricate web of relationships and power structures. Yet this rebellion was not without its consequences. Disapproval and conflict followed, as one might expect. But it was within this tumultuous union, amid the clashes and the chaos, that Genghis Khan was conceived. From his very inception, his life was marked by strife and struggle, a foreshadowing of the trials he would face and the triumphs he would achieve. It is said that the most significant events have the most unorthodox beginnings. And for Genghis Khan, a man who would rise to become one of history's most formidable conquerors, his story began with an act of audacious defiance, an act that broke the rules, challenged the status quo, and set in motion a chain of events that would shape the world. In the harsh and unpredictable Mongolian steppes, this was the dramatic beginning of Genghis Khan's story. So, as we delve deeper into his life, remember, every great tale begins with an unforgettable prologue. And Genghis Khan's prologue was nothing short of extraordinary. Under the vast skies of Mongolia, a child was born clutching a blood clot, a sign of the destiny that awaited him. This was no ordinary child. His name was Temujin, but the world would come to know him better as Genghis Khan. His birth was heralded by an omen that stirred whispers among the people of the steppes. You see, when Temujin was born, he was clutching a blood clot in his right hand. This might seem like a gruesome detail to us, but to the Mongols of the 12th century, it was a portentous sign. In the nomadic culture of the Mongols, signs and symbols were deeply significant. They believed that the universe communicated through such omens, providing glimpses into the future. The blood clot in baby Temujin's hand was interpreted as an indication of his future as a great leader, a warrior who would spill a lot of blood. It was seen as a prophecy that this child was destined for greatness, that he would become a mighty force to be reckoned with. The Mongols were a tough, resilient people, hardened by the harsh conditions of their homeland. They were a warrior culture that valued bravery, strength, and leadership. For them, the birth prophecy of Temujin was a promise of a leader who would embody these qualities, a Khan who would lead them to glory. Yet, prophecies are tricky things. They hint at a possible future, but they don't give us the full picture. They leave out the trials and tribulations, the hardship and struggles that one must endure to fulfill their destiny. As we'll see, Temujin's journey to becoming Genghis Khan was not a straightforward one. It was a path marked by adversity, by loss, and by the harsh realities of life on the steppes. But for now, let's return to that moment of his birth, to that tiny hand clutching a blood clot, a sign of things to come, a prophecy of a future yet to unfold. Little did the world know this child would grow to be a force that would change the course of history. In the world of survival, sometimes the enemy lies closer than one might think. Such was the case for the young Temujin, later known as Genghis Khan. The harsh Mongolian plains were a relentless tutor, teaching him that survival often meant making difficult choices. One such choice involved his older half-brother, Bektar. Bektar and Temujin, though of the same father, were born of different mothers. This in itself was a source of conflict, a seed of jealousy and rivalry that grew with them into adolescence. Bektar, being older, assumed a role of authority, often wielding it with a heavy hand. As the two boys grew older, their relationship soured further. Bektar's authority became a yoke, his actions more oppressive. The seeds of rivalry had blossomed into a tree of resentment. This strained relationship reached a boiling point when the boy's father was poisoned, leaving the family vulnerable and without a protector. In this world of survival, Temujin and his younger brother Kasar felt the need to confront their oppressor, their own blood, Bektar. The confrontation was swift. The result, a fatal blow. A life was extinguished, and it was not by the hand of an enemy tribe, but by the hand of a brother. The consequences of this action were profound. Temujin, a mere adolescent, had taken a life. He had claimed authority, and through this violent act had crossed a threshold. He was no longer just a boy. He had become a defender, a protector, a leader. Yet this act was not without its moral burden. The echoes of his brother's final moments would follow him in the years to come, a haunting reminder of the price of survival. It was a moment that would shape him, mold him into the man he was destined to become. Blood was shed, a life was taken, and a young boy began a journey that would lead him to become Genghis Khan. Every great leader has a beginning, a first victory that sets them on their path to greatness. Before he was Genghis Khan, the ruler of an empire, he was simply Temujin, a boy born into a world of nomadic tribes and harsh survival. However, even in these early days, the seeds of his future triumphs were being sown. Temujin was not only a fierce warrior, he was also a skilled strategist and a natural leader, qualities that would serve him well in the years to come. His first significant victory came when he was barely a man. He was captured by a rival tribe and held captive, a situation that would have spelled the end for many. But not for Temujin. He managed to escape, turning his captivity into a triumph and earning the respect and loyalty of those who witnessed his daring feat. But his early successes were not just on the battlefield. Temujin also showed a keen understanding of the power of alliances. He recognized that to truly rise above, he needed more than just his own strength and courage. He needed the strength and courage of others. And so, he formed strategic alliances with other tribes, a move that not only increased his power, but also fostered a sense of unity among the often warring tribes. Perhaps one of his most notable early accomplishments was the institution of a code of laws, known as Yasa. This code, which covered everything from property rights to diplomatic immunity, was revolutionary for its time, reflecting Temujin's vision of a unified, orderly society. These early triumphs were not just personal victories for Temujin. They were also signs of the leader he would become, a man who could not only fight but also strategize, unite, and govern. A man who would transform the scattered tribes of the Mongolian steppe into a formidable empire. These early triumphs were but a glimmer of the empire Genghis Khan was yet to build. As we've journeyed through the early years of Genghis Khan's life, it's clear that his path was anything but ordinary. The unorthodox union of his parents, a match born of coercion and strategic ambition, set the stage for a life that would be far from conventional. His mother, once the bride of another man, was kidnapped and made the wife of his father, a clear indicator that Genghis was born into a world where power and strategy were the currency of survival. Then there was the prophecy at his birth, born clutching a blood clot, a sign that was believed to foretell a future of great leadership. But leadership, as we all know, doesn't come without its trials and tribulations. Genghis's childhood was punctuated by a grim betrayal, a moment that would indelibly shape his character and his approach to power. The killing of his own older brother, a grim act, but one that underscored the harsh realities of his world. It was a world where alliances were fragile, where power often came at the expense of familial bonds. And yet, amidst these trials were moments of triumph. Genghis's early successes were testament to his innate leadership skills and strategic acumen. He was a natural leader, someone who could rally others to his cause and who had the foresight to see opportunities where others saw only challenges. But the question that lingers is this: was Genghis's path preordained, or was it the product of his circumstances? Was he destined to become the great Genghis Khan, a leader who would shape the course of history? Or were his leadership skills forged in the crucible of a harsh and challenging childhood? The debate between destiny and circumstance is an age-old one, and perhaps we'll never truly know the answer when it comes to Genghis Khan. But one thing is clear: his early life, filled with trials and triumphs, betrayal and ambition, shaped him into the formidable leader he would become. So we're left to wonder, was it his destiny to become the great Genghis Khan, or did the circumstances of his childhood forge him into the leader he became? What are your thoughts? What are your